Roman emperors look all cool with a swagger that even the Vikings failed to capture. But what if we compared some of the worst emperors to some of the best? From the infamous Commodus, who ruined Marcus Aurelius's legacy, to the ones that made Rome what it is today. Here's every Roman emperor ranked from the worst to best. Elagabalus. Imagine mixing the notorious Caligula and Nero in a blender and then setting it on fire. That's Elagabalus for you. This sweetie was a teenage emperor who loved cross-dressing and had weird religious ceremonies. Easily one of Rome's most humiliating emperors, who destroyed its legacy. Caligula. Caligula spent most of his time and money living the life of a spoiled rich kid, mocked the Senate for fun, and seriously considered making his own horse a consul. In the end, the bodyguards were so fed up with this dude that they decided to kill him by stabbing him. Commodus, the son of the best emperor, Marcus Aurelius. Commodus was so insecure that people say he was the reason his own father died. He was seen wearing gladiator outfits with a god complex and wanted to be a hero. Sadly for him, he ended up as one of Rome's most useless rulers. Talk about wasting all the good genetics. Constantine II. While he was the son of Constantine the Great, if I were to rename him, I would call him Constantine the Mediocre. Instead of continuing his dad's great legacy, he started a civil war and almost got himself ambushed. Caracalla. Caracalla played emperor like it was Grand Theft Auto. He taxed everyone till nothing was left, and people were basically starving. His reign was so toxic that he would destroy entire cities for insulting him and even murdered his own brother as his mother watched. Gratian. He was another child ruler who tried his best but got steamrolled and ragdolled by the competition. His own men abandoned him relatively quickly after being pressured by other nations. Geta. This was Caracalla's unlucky brother, and his entire reign was cut short when Caracalla killed him immediately. Honestly, the poor guy didn't even get the time to enjoy his true crown, Trebonianus Gallus. While Gallus himself wasn't the worst emperor, his timing surely was. This was because he was invaded by barbarians during the crisis of the 3rd century, and he responded to the attack by doing nothing. His soldiers eventually killed him for being so useless. Didius Julianus. At one point, Rome was in such a desperate state that it was auctioned off to the highest bidder, and Julianus became the king. He bought the throne from a Praetorian guard, and 3 months later he was dead. Valentinian II. This was a child puppet emperor who his own advisors controlled. When he died, Rome barely even remembered him. Volusianus. The successor to Gallus. Volusianus's reign also didn't last long. He got taken off the throne before he could do anything interesting. He was one of Rome's one-hit wonders that failed. Quintillus. With a name that looks like it would rule the world for centuries, Quintillus's reign only lasted 17 days. This could be the shortest official reign of a Roman emperor, if I may say so. Aemilian. After kicking out Gallus, this guy joined the crown. However, Valerian was another future emperor and marched on him. And as soon as Aemilian was attacked, his own troops betrayed him. Pupienus and Balbinus. This was the first time that the Senate thought that having 2 emperors would fix Rome. However, they didn't trust each other and were brutally murdered after failing to work towards the common good. Diadumenian, son of Macrinus. Diadumenian was a child emperor who was dragged into power. However, he lost a civil war and was executed. Martinian. During Constantine's civil war, Martinian came and was instantly gone. This was faster than us blinking an eye because rarely would someone say his name. Valerius Valens. Valerius Valens was another Civil War emperor, but even though he was passionate at first, he did nothing extraordinary. He could be an NPC in Rome's history. Eugenius. This guy got pierced by the pagan generals for being a Christian emperor. Interestingly enough, Theodosius was the one who defeated him. Victor. Victor ruled from 383 to 388, but even historians barely remember anything he did. While he didn't do much, he still lived a good few years of ruling Rome. Gordian III. Yet another child emperor who was manipulated by the people behind him. Gordian was dragged into wars and died while fighting the Persians. No one knows who killed him, which is enough to know how important he must have been. Philip II. Son of Philip the Arab, Unlike his father, he enjoyed the title of co-emperor until the Praetorian Guard killed him. Even daddy's privilege didn't save this dude. Carinus. Known for looking at other people's wives and stealing them, he was feared but not respected at all. At some point, he was betrayed and killed, and after his death, everyone celebrated. Florianus. 2 months into power during the crisis of the 3rd century, he was killed by his own soldiers. These were times when no one trusted each other. Vitellius. Known as the glutton of Rome, while his own people starved and many died, he treated himself to a buffet. His whole legacy is about eating, and he is the most uninspiring emperor of all time. Macrinus. This guy tried to secure power after killing Caracalla, but was killed by the Severan family, who ended up executed. Rome had a long memory for revenge. Saturninus. Saturninus was the son of Gallienus, who ruled briefly, but was then murdered by Postumus, the commander of the Rhine legions. Jovian. He rose to power and signed peace treaties, and then died from suffocating paint fumes while sleeping. This was probably the most awkward death of an emperor that we have seen. Magnus Maximus. Magnus could have been an industry plant, but basically he grabbed too much power way too quickly and couldn't hold it at all. He surrendered in Aquileia, and even though he pleaded for mercy, Magnus Maximus was executed. Nero. Nero loved theater, persecuted Christians, and hosted ridiculous stage performances while Rome basically burned. Otho. After losing a battle to Vitellius, Otho killed himself to save any further bloodshed. While the method of killing was honorable, it wasn't the best move. Pertinax. After Commodus, Pertinax tried to take control of Rome, but he didn't pay the soldiers enough. Ultimately, they murder their own emperor within 3 months. Here's the lesson: always pay the muscle. Gordian I and II. Father and son rebellion combo in Rome, they both died immediately after taking control because they were bad at revolts. Let's pause here for a second. Which emperor do you think some of these resemble compared to the leaders of today? Let us know in the comments, and subscribe to our channel if you want more history-related videos. Maximian. He was Diocletian's right-hand man who helped run half the empire, but his partner was way too brilliant compared to him. Constantine later pushed him into a corner and defeated him. Maximinus Thrax. Maximinus was a giant soldier who became an emperor. This was one of the first rules that never entered Rome in his life, as he was controlling the empire from military camps. However, his own men eventually betrayed him. Numerian. Numerian died on a campaign, but his general paraded his corpse around and pretended that he was still alive. Hostilian. This guy was very popular during the Gothic Wars, but died of the plague before doing anything meaningful. He could have been a great emperor, but the timing was just bad. Decius. Decius tried to revive an old Roman religion and hated Christianity. However, he was killed by Goths in 251, and he was the first emperor to die in battle against foreigners and not his own men. Valerian. Captured by the Persian king Shapur I and used as a footstool, Valerian had the most humiliating fate in Roman imperial history. Lucius Verus. One of the most interesting emperors who also co-ruled with Marcus Aurelius, Lucius loved to partake and also won lots of battles. In the end, he died of a plague. Philip the Arab. This guy celebrated Rome's 1000th birthday in style but lost to Decius. Quite a short reign with a dramatic ending. Tacitus. Tacitus was chosen by the Senate for his safe personality. However, he wasn't so safe from his enemies, as he died in just 6 months as a ruler. This made Rome realize that safe doesn't always mean successful. Galerius. Galerius was a big military guy who persecuted Christians. However, he was also ironically pushing an agenda to legalize tolerance at the end of his life. In other words, Galerius was the prime case of you become what you hate the most. Constans. He was the son of Constantine the Great. However, Constans was also incompetent, which made him resort to a lot of violence. Ultimately, he was overthrown and killed because his dad's shadow was way too big for him to control. Valens. Valens was a decent emperor, but he died horribly at Adrianople in 378 along with most of his army. While his emperor's works were decent, the leadership was poor, which ended up wiping out his whole army. Julian. Julian loved philosophy and tried to eliminate the rise of Christianity. He also fought bravely, but died in Persia. Ultimately, even to this date, Julian is known as a competent leader, but his hate for Christians was crazy. Hadrian. Easily one of the most amazing emperors in the history of Rome. Hadrian was a traveler emperor who consolidated the empire, built the Hadrian walls, and decorated Rome with monuments everywhere. He is still admired today, and his works are loved by everyone. Constantine the Great. This was one of the first guys who made Christianity mainstream while also founding Constantinople. He was quite a ruthless leader and believed in a lot of discipline. But when it comes to changing the tide of Rome, Constantine the Great never hesitated. Aurelian. Aurelian is known as the restorer of the world. He reunited Rome, beat the enemies, and built massive walls so the enemies wouldn't infiltrate and easily start wars. He was an absolute powerhouse who is still remembered today. Trajan. Trajan was the ultimate conqueror of Rome. He was the OP or MVP emperor who was the gold standard that everyone wanted to be. In his reign, Rome was at its largest size, and he even conquered Dacia and flooded Rome with so much gold that everyone was jealous. Unlike many emperors, he actually cared about the infrastructure, built roads, aqueducts, and his famous Trajan's Forum and Column, which still stands today, is known as one of the ancient wonders of Rome. He was not only respected by the army, but also by the Senate. Augustus. At the second spot, we have none other than Augustus himself. He was the guy who basically invented the peaceful times. After years of bloody civil war, he stepped in, cleared the house, set up Pax Romana, and made 2 centuries of peace that the Romans always bragged about. Marcus Aurelius. The man that people to this day love and respect, his popular journal, Meditations, has saved the lives of many. And in his time, Rome was the happiest while Marcus was up all night, thinking about how he could work for the common good. He also introduced Stoicism to the world and made many great thinkers who came after him. And that's it for the worst to the best emperors in Roman history. Who's your top one? Let us know in the comments below, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like these.